Hey everyone, this is Teresa Hegel, Executive Editor of Special Projects and Sustainability at ASI.
And this is Cassie Green, Content Director of Apparelist and Editor at Printing United Alliance. And you're listening to Branding Together, a new adventure into the converging worlds of print and promo.
We're here to bring you an engaging monthly discussion that dissects just how closely each of these industries align. Whether you're a promotional products distributor, commercial printer, apparel decorator, or a little bit of everything, our topics and guests will bring the ultimate crossover conversation.
When you're ready to bring your business to the next level, get lost in this month's episode, which is set to happen in 3, 2, 1.
All right. Yay, it is another month of branding together. It's July, and I have to say, I cannot believe we are halfway through this year. You can find Branding Together anywhere you listen to your podcasts. It can be on YouTube, it could be on Spotify, it could be on Apple Podcasts. Wherever you listen, that's where you will find this award-winning show. I still love saying that, Teresa, don't you?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It does give it a little extra like sprinkle on top.
It sure does. So we're just going to keep leaning into that. But as mentioned, we've officially crossed the halfway mark for 2026. And for a lot of people listening to this, it's kind of a moment where we all like to sort of, stop, take stock of what's happened already, make any adjustments, get excited for the last half of the year. I'm personally gearing up for a lot of upcoming events. I know you are as well, Teresa. But now is a great time to just breathe. So this month we are talking about business. We're talking about ethics. We're talking about in-person community building all at the same time. We have an industry legend joining us as our guest. But first,
one of my favorite people.
Gosh. I'm like so excited to let everybody know who is joining us. But let's keep everybody on the edge of their seats with some headlines. If you want to start us off.
Absolutely. So once again, we have some kind of big internal news at ASI that I wanted to share. So ASI has promoted Matt Barnes to Chief Commercial Officer. He's going to lead the sales, marketing, and member success efforts for the company. Barnes, who joined ASI in 2015 and most recently served as Executive Vice President of ASI and ASI Show, obviously brings extensive leadership experience across sales, media, and supplier relations. So in his new role, Barnes is going to be focusing on aligning ASI's strategy, products, and services with customer needs. So obviously we have our new CEO, Ashish, who's joined us earlier this year. And he's been taking a big look at, what we need to do to better serve our members. And I think, as he said in the article we posted today, like one of the people's names who just kept coming up was Matt. Everybody knows him. Everybody likes him. Everybody trusts him. So it's one of those kind of promotions that makes a whole lot of sense. And I think will be great for our industry.
Yay. Big congrats. Woo-hoo. That's fun. Yeah. A lot of big changes over there, but all really good.
Yeah, I think so. For sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, the first headline I want to share is, as we're sharing this podcast recording for July, we are coming off the heels of our 4th annual Apparel Decoration Summit in Nashville. And this is an event that I take a lot of pride in. So the Apparelist team, Brandy, Jameson Neth, and myself, along with like our summit team, we work really hard to make these hosted buyer events special and just put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this. And so for anyone listening to this who is not familiar with our hosted buyer events, this just brings together industry leaders looking to grow and push the boundaries of apparel decoration. We don't just limit these events to decorators. We actually do have some promo distributors that attend the event and did attend the event this year. We have some commercial printers, implant printers, wide format printers. This is for anyone who is looking to buy and push harder into the apparel decoration industry. And yet just the energy at these events and the networking is something I really value. And I'm not just saying this to toot our own horns here, but we have a lot of people tell us it's the best event they attend just because it's so hyper focused. So loving that. You can read the recap on our site. So had to share.
And I think, we've talked about this before, but there's so many events in our industries, but sometimes those very specific, targeted, smaller events are the ones where people get the most value because you can have such deep, long, meaningful conversations with the people that you need to be talking to. Putting them in the same room and facilitating this networking and conversations is so important.
Yes. I mean, you guys do these smaller power type events.
Yeah. I mean, that's not to say that the big ones aren't important too. Like
Correct.
that's kind of the bread and butter, but so these smaller ones have a really important place as well. So I have one more piece of news that I wanted to share. This is about the sourcing group has appointed Brian Gill as Chief Revenue Officer. Brian Gill is a longtime industry executive, and he joined Counselor Top 40 distributor, the Sourcing Group, as its first ever Chief Revenue Officer. He spent 25 years with Thumbprint, which was founded by his father, Greg, in 1994 and was acquired by Screenbroidery in 2025. So now at the Sourcing Group, Gill will lead revenue strategy, and he is actually joining a company that has like nearly 500 employees and more than 30 warehouses across the country. And the Sourcing Group is actually working toward a revenue goal of $500 million in annual revenue by 2031. And Gill will be focused on strengthening sales efforts, mentoring emerging leaders, and developing a unified brand identity. So it's a big move in the promo world.
Wow. Yeah. Big move, big company. There's a lot happening there.
Totally.
Okay. Well, my final headline I want to share, and this is building off of a headline that I shared last month in our June episode. And this is part of this big marketing.com investigative journalism piece that our team over at Printing Impressions is doing. So this, again, lots of articles going into this, lots of pieces of the puzzle. This is just a more recent headline that they recently shared. Color art customer alleges millions in postal funds disappeared, files suit against JAL Equity and Aaron Salou. So again, reading just the details so that we make sure we're by the book here. Following a voluntary bankruptcy filing by Color Art and its subsidiary Las Vegas Color Graphics, and then a subsequent emergency receivership appointment, one of Color Art's former customers has now filed a lawsuit against JAL Equity Group and Aaron Salou as an individual. So Centene Corporation versus JAL Equity Corporation and Aaron Salou was filed technically in December 2025 through the Supreme Court of New York County of New York. So Centene Corp is a healthcare enterprise listed as a top creditor on the Color Art bankruptcy filing, owed $4,041,233. So it alleges that it has attempted to recover millions of dollars that, through a contractual relationship for printing services, were entrusted to Color Art LLC and held in escrow accounts for Centene's benefit. Without explanation, these funds have now disappeared.
Wow. That's a lot to digest.
It is a lot to digest. So if you need to pause this episode for a quick minute and think about it, click on the link in the show notes, go for it. But there is a lot here. So this is starting to escalate. There's a lot of money missing, allegedly, according to all of these lawsuits. So, it's very fascinating to watch all of it unfold. And of course, our Printing Impressions team is keeping an eye on it and following along. So if you're not subscribed and this is something of interest to you, you want to follow along, highly recommend you subscribe to Printing Impressions.
Wow. I mean, they always say follow the money, and it sounds like that's what your team is doing. So that is good. Find out where all the missing money is.
It has been a really interesting experience into investigative journalism and how this is all unfolding. There's a lot wrapped up in this in terms of the printing industry. So very relevant. But anyway, we don't need to dwell on anything too heavy and negative right now. So we would like to transition to sort of this second part of our podcast where Teresa and I like to discuss different topics. This month, talking about, living in this age of AI, e-commerce, online ordering. Relationships, I think, are more important than ever, especially in-person relationships.
Yeah.
And I think that you and I have talked a little bit about this before, but something I wanted to sort of talk to you about is, what are your thoughts on How do we keep maintaining these personal relationships when everything is so digital?
I mean, I think something that I've seen recently, which I really resonate with, is the idea of adding friction to your life. Um, so much of the online world is about making things seamless, getting rid of friction, making it
Yeah.
easy. But sometimes the friction is what makes the relationship worthwhile, right? Like I happened to see something on LinkedIn. There's this guy, I don't know anything about him, but he's like writing a poem every day that's kind of like against AI, which, whatever. But the thing he said is like, yeah, sure, go ahead and use AI to get the recipe instead of calling your friend who loves to cook and will give you, some great ideas and tell you what they really love about food and also updates you on their sick dad and this and you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
basically saying, hey, yeah, maybe you do need that friction. Maybe you do need to actually talk to people and learn about their lives, and you're going to get something so much more of value. And I think that can resonate in the business world as well, which promo especially is always talks about it being a relationship driven business, right? And if you're just selling on price or as a commodity, you're going to be losing because most of these businesses are not going to be able to keep up with the really locked in technology driven companies. So you need to differentiate yourself and focus on knowing who your client is and being able to talk to them and reach out to them and have these actual conversations and relationships.
Yeah. And
Okay, my long-winded answer, but
I love that. Well, and it makes me think so, obviously last month we talked to Marshall Atkinson and Ali Banholzer about their AI summit. Clearly these things are important to our business, but what you just mentioned is creating that human connection for real growth and relationship building, because while initially AI and automation might be great at, you know, building a sales pipeline for cold calling and reaching out to accounts that just sort of place smaller orders and things like that, it really shines there, right? But when
Mhm.
you have, and this makes me think of an article I just wrote for you guys about, working with contract decorators. The guy I interviewed, Brian Nichols at High Text Graphics, said one of the biggest challenges that, contract decorators have with distributors is there's not this open communication and personal relationship. Like, you should look at this as a relationship. Pick up the phone and call somebody, because
Yeah.
if they're a big customer of yours and they are placing huge orders and they have been with you for 10 years and they constantly send referrals and things like that, and you mess up once, like, that can damage the relationship if you haven't worked to build it
Right,
in
right.
person, right?
Yeah, for
So
sure,
those
for
things
sure.
matter.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, like, so much of this industry is about repeat business, and you don't get those sticky clients and that repeat business if you are not cultivating the relationships that you have with your clients. But
Mhm.
one thing that's funny, like you brought up the Shirt Lab Summit, the AI thing.
Yeah.
Um, it kind of actually proves the point that you do need people, right? Because that is
Yeah.
something on AI, but it is being run by real people, and you're
Yes.
going to hear real people talk about, you know, the virtual world and AI and technology.
Mhm.
You could ask ChatGPT for that information, but
Sure.
would that be as valuable to you as attending a virtual summit where real people are talking about
Right.
things? I would say that you still need the human experts to help
Yeah.
you understand the value of it in your business and what they've done with it. So, um, it's just funny in a way that the thing that is actually really touting like the AI of it all, is also actually showing why we still need human relationships.
Right. Well, and you mentioned events, which I think is really important, because obviously virtual events have their place. They're very good. But I'm sorry, AI cannot print, like the shirt I'm wearing right now. It's this really cool DTG printed shirt that Deanna Aribe did for us for our Branding Together project. And it's like a foil print, and I can feel the foil, and it
Mhm.
shimmers and shines in the sun. And I texted her this morning. And I was like, girl, I feel like a queen when I wear this shirt. AI can't do that for
Yeah.
me.
No.
Like, it does not give me a physical, tactile thing. It did not. Deanna created this for us, and it elicited an emotional response, right?
I've gotten
AI can't do
a
that.
lot of strong reactions when I wear the big cats that she made for us. Which
Yes.
I love that interpretation of the Branding Together podcast. I would never have thought of it on my own, which is why I'm glad we gave everybody creative license to come up with new
Right.
things.
Right. And so, tying that back to my point about events is in our industry, when we attend an ASI show, when we attend Printing United Expo, we get to see and feel these things in real life, and AI can't give you that. The e-commerce bit can't give you that. When I walked to the show at FESPA, I was looking at some of the cool printed things that Scodix was putting out, and you could actually feel the textured print. And that is just, I don't know, it just makes me feel alive,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And these events make you feel alive just with the printed products and with connecting with the people there.
Mhm.
Like I get to hug,
Yeah.
I can't hug you through a computer.
No, not in any way that's meaningful. And I think that like we are seeing the trend toward the analog, the trend toward, experiences, because people are kind of getting burned by AI slop that they see online and just everything being so digital. So younger people like to, you know, have, I don't know, knitting circles, things that you would not expect younger people to be doing, or like they're getting back into physical media like cassettes and CDs and, all this kind of stuff that we thought we were sort of done with. But it turns out that, the value in the physical, tangible world is actually still there. Or even like a few years ago, I think we did a story about how physical catalogs were making a comeback. Which who would have saw that coming? But it makes sense if you're, instead of just like sending a barrage of like gigantic catalogs that are not curated at all. Now it's more like the magalogs where it has like a point of view and it's, maybe sent out less often to fewer people who really want them, but they're more of an editorial point of view in a catalog, and people still find a lot of value in the actual printed product.
I think so. I mean, I get a catalog from Marine Layer.
Oh, love
And I
Marine.
love getting it. I don't know why, but I'm like, I love paging through this and looking at the styles and their little like breakdown and storytelling. Like it's fun. I like holding it in my hands. It's nice.
Yeah.
Well, and then, one other thing that I was really noodling on as we were sort of building this episode and talking about the direction we wanted to go is this idea of how we engage with each other as an industry. A lot of my mentors are in this industry. I think of one person in particular, Nikki Bowen of Cotton Street Apparel, and she's just been a huge mentor to me. And obviously, you can build that relationship via email or text message or whatever. But where I really cemented my relationship with her and really saw her in her like element was at shows, at events, at conferences. She was either speaking, or if she wasn't speaking, she was chit-chatting with other attendees. She was pointing people to things. She was answering questions. And it's just like, I think these in-person relationship building events help further our industry in that way. Because that's something that I think is so valuable about our industry. It's something that really stands out to me, and why I have am just so grateful to be a part of it. Is that is so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. There is something, the relationship can only go so far via email and Teams calls and, texting or whatnot. Actually getting to spend some time at an event and talk to people in person over a cocktail or over a nice meal, makes a world of difference and really accelerates the relationship and turns it into something much more meaningful. Which is not to say that, all of the sources that I have only talked to over the phone are not worthwhile. It's just that I really do get to know them better, and you kind of form a deeper connection that is useful for both people. I mean, insofar more than just like it is a human connection and that's useful for us as humans, but it is also a good thing professionally for both sides. I don't want to. It sounds like I'm like saying yes, and I can use them for my work. It's good to have connections and friendships and all that too. Like obviously on a human level, this is important. But on a professional level, it is also important.
Both, right. I agree. Well, and I think about like you and I, like now when we see each other at in-person events, we go on runs together.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, we also will record like mini podcast episodes.
Yeah.
Which is I look
Yeah,
forward.
who would have thought that? Like a few years ago, I think I had met you at one event. And I was like, "Oh, this is a cool person. I'll probably never see her again, but yeah, it's fine." And then now we see each other once a month on our videos and
Yeah,
at various events throughout the year. So it's
I
pretty cool.
know. Yeah, look how we've built this relationship over the years because
Yeah,
of the mixture of digital and physical relationships.
absolutely perfect.
Well, I mean, it's a fun topic to talk about, and certainly, I'd be curious to hear everybody's feedback. But right now, Teresa, we dangled the carrot. And now we are going to, bring in our guest, which builds perfectly with our discussion on, people who have built their career in relationships, community, and helping others by being out and about. Today's guest is Rick Roth of Mirror
Oh,
Image
gee.
and Ink Kitchen. Woo! Cue the applause. Rick wears so many hats in this industry and serves communities beyond just being a leading name in the apparel decorating community. He's involved in One Caucus NGO, has had heavy involvement with Amnesty International. He works hard to make sure underserved communities get access to many basic human necessities. He was instrumental in an article I wrote a few years ago about UFLPA. And so, just someone that Teresa and I both have
Yeah.
a lot
I've
of
written
respect.
about him, about apparel activism, how t-shirts are more than just t-shirts. Like he's a wonderful resource and an awesome human being.
Ugh, could not have said it better myself. So without further ado, Rick, thank you for being on the show. All right.
Promo distributors don't make money by guessing. They make it by sourcing smarter, quoting faster, and working with suppliers they can actually trust. That's why the pros use ASI to access wholesale pricing, legitimate vendors, and the tools that help you win more deals.
Rick, thank you so much for joining the show.
Glad to be here.
Yeah.
So Rick, I wanted to start out, you've worn a lot of hats throughout your career. So when someone asks you what you do, how do you answer them?
Well, it's funny. I guess it depends on the audience, but a lot of people say I own a t-shirt factory. That seems like the quickest answer. And then, if it's somebody, maybe someone I'm more interested in speaking with at length, I'll say, "Do you mean for money? What do I do?" And then I say, I have a business printing t-shirts for money, but I do a lot of other things. Amnesty International, volunteer, WMBR radio station at MIT, Pawtucket Film Festival, a lot of different things that matter to me. I just don't do them for money. And then I usually add these days, and I own a media company, which is the Ink Kitchen, which is free information online and a lot of interviews. Imagine that. Think people would want to hear interviews? I don't know.
I sure hope so, since we're doing one.
That's my point. Yeah.
Well, when it's an interesting person, then yeah, I think they want to hear it.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree. So I actually want to go a little bit into that. You mentioned like your involvement with Amnesty International, and I think, throughout the industry, you are sort of known for your devotion to human rights causes and working really hard in philanthropy and things like that. So how did that become such an important part of your life? Like, walk us through your history and kind of evolution into that side of your career.
All right. Well, I think to start at an early age, I think my parents were really nice people, and but it was mostly just their family and their immediate friends. And I think I took those values and spread it to the whole world somehow. Probably a little bit 60s influenced. I'm a little late on the 60s. I graduated high school in 1971, but I had friends that were older. And I think that maybe 60s sensibility of wanting to change the world. And then this is where I differed from a lot of people. I had kids pretty young compared to my friends, maybe not compared to the general population. And I felt like when I had kids that I had a responsibility to make the world a better place for them. I know it sounds corny, but I really, really believe that. And so I went to my first Amnesty International meeting when my daughter was 1 month old. My stepdaughter came with me and helped me take care of her. And so I have done it. I know how long I've been in Amnesty. My daughter Hope was born in 1981. So that's when I started. And then I think, I was telling this story recently. I think what cemented it was did all this Amnesty volunteer work, and some of it was on behalf of these 14 Tibetan nuns who had been arrested like at age 14, and one of them had spent basically age 14 to age 31 in jail. And this isn't like, an easy jail. This is a Chinese jail, right? And all but 1 year she was in jail. And sometimes they were beaten. One time it said like UN observers came and they protested and they like beat them so much like the whole courtyard was like covered with blood, like terrible stuff. And they were in for like, I don't know if I can swear on this, but they weren't like saying, the Chinese. It was like I want Tibet to be free like a bird in the sky, like come on, for this they're beaten and in prison. So we worked really hard. We sent like literally, I don't know, I think 100,000 postcards to Chinese officials, all kinds of demonstrations. I had, they were called the Dropsy 14. We had 14 concerts in 14 months for them. And the first and the last had 14 bands trying to publicize what was going on. And they actually got out of jail and got out of China, Tibet, I should say. And we met one of them, Funtag Nidran, at this Reebok Human Rights Awards. And we told her what we had done. And she was like, oh, when I hear that people do stuff like that for Tibet, that makes everything I went through worth it.
Wow.
And I'm like, I'm like tired or like don't feel like going to a meeting or like I can't send some emails out.
Yeah. No, I have chills from
I'm
that.
done
for sure.
forever with that one.
Yeah.
That'll definitely change your perspective. Wow.
Yeah, and she's not the only person I met like that. I mean, the people whose rights are abused, they're just like you and I. Like, it's just they're under bad circumstances, I have another friend from Sri Lanka, he was in jail, was maybe going to be put to death. We worked on his case, and, many Tamils were murdered. He got out of jail, and he joined our Amnesty group, like you'd think he'd be done with all that. Like, this guy Tissa. So, you meet people like that, it's like, all right, I can, like the 14 for 14 concerts are perfect example. I was doing it at this club. It was a great club, and the booking agent was helping me. Then the club closed. And I was like, I didn't have anybody help doing it. I had to move this other crappy club. And I was like, oh man. But I thought, oh, poor pitiful me. I have to like work hard to put a music show on, So anyway, that I think answers it.
Oh yeah. So I wanted to bring the activism around to the side of kind of business. And I know I think we've talked about this in the past, just the idea of like t-shirts being a really good medium for activism in many ways. But of course, like some people will keep their business and their activism kind of like separate entities, right? And you don't really do that. So like, why do you bring them together?
I mean, actually, maybe I'll answer this in a roundabout way. One is people are always like, how do you do all these things? One is I don't have a TV, never have. That's a big one. I'm serious. People say they don't watch TV and they're like, yeah, my favorite show and the news and like sports. And, pretty soon it's like 12 hours. You spend 12 hours a week calling up your friends or doing a hobby. You're pretty good at it, honestly. But the other is that I just work it together, so I'm talking to, David Eisenbeis about keywell emulsion stuff. And I also, at the same time, ask him if he wants to help with a poster project that we do. It's like, it's easier if you just do it all together. And then I guess related to that is I have this, theory, I guess, or motto. I think if you ask people to help in a way that they can help, and you ask in a way that they think that your effort is organized, so you're not wasting their time, and then if you are doing something and they think it's going to make a difference, most people will say yes. It's even to things you might not even people you might not think would. So I and you know what else? I don't care. I don't care about money that much. I don't want to have no money, but I don't know. Maybe I was lucky early in life. I met some really rich people, and they're not happier than people that aren't. I don't want to be impoverished. That sucks. But I, more money or toys.
You're not chasing money for money's sake.
Yeah, it's pretty empty pursuit. I think that's kind of proven. Kind of what religion tells you, what practical knowledge tells you, what all of it tells you is it's doesn't help you much on your deathbed if you have no friends or family. I guess that's the stereotypical comment about it, but it's true, I think.
I tend to agree with you, and I think the point that you made about asking people to help how they can help, right? Maybe it's their way to help is just writing the letters or being a marketing engine or like I hate to say marketing, being an engine to help spread the word or whatever. Like you don't have to always make a large donation to make an impact, right? And I think that's important.
Do what you can when you can. I always, that's what I say. Just do what you can when you can. Opportunities will arise. You don't have to make like a giant difference with every single thing you do, but maybe you can help in some small way,
Sure. So
I mean, some people, we actually had, like in our amnesty group, we had people that didn't really want to go to the meetings. We used to raise money, but we used to use my work van and move people and charge them going rates, and they would give the money to amnesty instead. And we had like a guy, that's all he wanted to do. He was fine, young guy, strong. We would move people. He would participate all the time in that. And he wanted to help that way. He didn't want to write letters or go to meetings. So, I think people have different ways they can help, right? There's a lot of ways to help with all kinds of efforts.
Well, and that's like the perfect lead into my next question because, someone listening to this probably thinks, "Oh my gosh, I would love to make a bigger impact. I'd love to get involved. I don't know where to start or I don't know what I can do to make a difference." What would you tell those people?
I think it really helps to find someone you trust, whether that's an organization or a friend. I think, it's really hard to vet a charity or it's real hard. I mean, I try, and I'm participate in some that are like, don't do everything the way I would like. And then, like I said, you do what you can when you can. Maybe you just help your neighbor, I used to make my kids shovel the walk of this guy that couldn't do it himself that lived near us, That's kind of a big deal for the guy. He couldn't get out otherwise. Like, there's a lot of ways to help, big and small. And, I think some of us, maybe you have a big business or something, you're more able to help with money or make a big splash. Somebody else, you just help a neighbor. I mean, there's people in our industry that when you really talk to them, they're like, I can't believe you do all that. Like, a couple people I know have children with severe disabilities that they just do amazing stuff for their kids. That's a great thing, That's a great thing. That's changed the world in a way, changes people's perspective. Right?
Yeah. 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 And I mean, I think it is important to note that not every way to help people has to be this huge splash. Like just helping one other person is still helping. And the more people that just are doing those small acts, the more it kind of adds up and becomes something much huger.
I tell you, I actually have less. I have like people that will help a little bit, I'm happier with than people that say they're going to do some big thing and don't do it. You know,
Mm.
oh my God, a few times in this industry, there's been a couple people that have these big, giant efforts, brings a lot of attention to them, and they didn't do anything. Like, that just really pisses me off. It squanders the goodwill of the people you have recruited. And that's
Right.
just really not right. And, like I said earlier, I also look for that things are efficient. I don't want to
Mhm.
help causes that have a high admin. Um, So, we do those poster printing for homeless charities in Long Beach and Dallas and Fort Worth and Atlantic City. And, went visited, and they're like super low overhead, like the one in Atlantic City, it's just none. And, it's like does it out of this like inexpensive house. She's driving a car around that's like 25 years old. And, when we were there, I was like guys walking in with like a ham and a sack of potatoes for her, like that just from the neighborhood. Like, I prefer helping something like that than something that's got like, a lot of expensive administration and, glossy,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Something a little more grassroots and like
yes.
close to
Yeah, the guy in
what
Long
it's all
Beach, oh
about.
my God, there's 5,000 homeless people in Long Beach. He's out there every day with them. So I'll tell you, the companies I brought out there with me to like see what he's doing, they are down with the cause after they saw what he does. It's unbelievable. It's really
Awesome.
pretty rough out there, and this guy's out there every day working on it. He doesn't even have an office. He's got a couple trucks to pick up trash and paint over graffiti, and he helps people like where they are, not like, would you like to come downtown for an appointment, you know? Um, I don't know. Was
Right.
that on point here?
Yeah, no, I mean, anything you want to share with us is on point. I mean, you have like a wealth of knowledge to share. But I do want to shift gears back to like more directly to the decorated apparel industry. And I wanted to talk a little bit about what originally drew you to decorated apparel.
All right. So, I had some friends that, printed shirts, and it just seemed kind of cool. And I helped them print them. And, at college, just like for our own amusement. And then another friend printed some, it's like 24 shirts for a farm stand, shirts, yellow shirts with green writing, fed on Zinke's corn. And a friend of mine still has one of the shirts. So it was pretty cool to have that. Um, and, then I guess it was activism and shirt printing. I don't know if it's good I went into either, but, there was this building on my Colgate University campus called Old Bio. This really beautiful building built with stones from the property even. And the Olin Corporation had built this other building, and they wanted a clear view over the building. This was the concept and everything, but they were going to tear this beautiful building down. And so we had the Save Old Bio campaign, and I made t-shirts, and I visited for my 50th reunion recently, and the building is still standing. So maybe I falsely learned that activism and t-shirt printing both work.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I love that because, like, of course you would continue down that path when you have something that's successful, kind of like the
Yeah.
first time. I'm sure there've been other times where they weren't as successful, but to have that, like, kind of win from the beginning is pretty
Well,
powerful.
I think another strong belief of mine is that nothing happens without a plan and nothing happens according to plan. So we had this event. I'm really, really devoted to my friends. I have friends from high school. We still get together every summer with some additional folks along the way. And we print a shirt. We used to do it actually at the event. And so this other friend of mine's an artist, and he was doing postcards. He's like, "Hey, you know how to do shirts? I want to do these shirts." So they were actually images from this like novelty joke catalog called the Johnson Smith catalog. I don't think it exists anymore. So it was like a lady hitting an unbreakable egg, and it was this weird face paint thing. And what was the other one? A graphic of a guy looking at a fake ice cube with a fly in it. Like, and so I printed those shirts. I have photos of it, cause he is a photographer too. So there's photos of the basement of them all. And I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't even have a press. I didn't even have a manual press. I didn't even have hinges. I just took the frame and put it straight on a shirt and screened it. I did tens of thousands of shirts that way in the end. Anyway, we printed those shirts. I took them out to a guy on Nantucket that sold a lot of the postcards. He's like, nah, I don't want those shirts. But if you do these postcard images on the shirts, I'll buy 24 dozen. So I was in business printing those shirts for Ken Brown Designs, it was called. So I did that for a long time. And then, I don't know, I really got into it. And I don't know, I really got into the process. And we had the opportunity to print a photograph by the famous photographer Robert Doisneau. And at that time in the early 90s, if you were printing a photograph, it would just be black halftones and it looked pretty bad. So, first did simple printing, and then with a friend of mine, Colin Cheer, we just really got into and this is pre-digital, using stack camera and contact frame. People were printing photos with just one screen of halftones, and the results weren't very good. So we separated. And this is a time where it was really expensive. You didn't make your own films. You went to a service bureau. I think it was 19 times we separated this Robert Doisneau famous photo, Kiss at the Hotel de Ville, which is City Hall, and it's in the streets of Paris, and we used 5 screens of, different grays, blacks, and, we're able to get more of a continuous tone photo. I mean, we had to send the shirt to Robert Doisneau in France. He was still alive, to get approval. And at that time, a lot of artists wouldn't allow it. There's a thing in Ansel Adams' will, no t-shirts ever, a lock solid thing.
Wow.
You could not have more explicitly did it. And they would love to print Ansel Adams shirts, but you can't, because they came out crappy. Who would blame them, right? He had these beautiful photos, and you're going to do a one halftone. So that's where we developed our simulated process. It's interesting. I'm really good friends with Dave Gardner now. He was independently doing the same thing, and maybe some other people, but, totally independently, and it was we were just way into it, just separating things over and over till we got it right. And then we started doing all kinds of photographs and paintings, and then, perfect beer bottles and what have you. And I don't know, I was always interested in what's next, So then we got into special effects printing, high density stuff, and then we merged the two. So we printed a perfect water bottle in Poland and put little gel drops so it looked like actual water on it. And do crazy special effects. We printed, I just was showing someone yesterday, Minnesota Twins baseball stadium opened, and we printed shirts that actually had the dirt from the field in the ink. So you had a hang tag saying
cool.
you actually had part of the field on your shirt. And
I love that.
Fake sewing.
That's awesome.
This guy Casey Ruby worked at Echo, where they did a lot of special effects. But it would be oh, that kind of looks like tape. And we were we want it so you're trying to scratch it off. In fact, the shirt we printed in that early era, there's a Burton snowboard shirt, and it has what looks like a size sticker on it. And we recently had an intern taking pictures of old shirts, and he's like, why am I taking a picture of that one? He thought that the sticker was real, and he didn't understand that it was a special effect. It was that convincing.
Oh, that's funny.
So, lenticular and all kinds of crazy stuff. So, just been, I think there's a German word, which I don't know what it is, but love of your work, you're just really, really into it. And,
There's always a German word, right?
yeah. It's funny, the Japanese are really into it, but my wife's a Japanese scholar, and, she's showed me how they make tea towels or something. I was like,
Yeah.
and it has like 18 steps, and it's all about the process for them. I was like, I think I would skip all those. I can make it look just like that in this other way. And that's so un-Japanese. Then we've experimented with like environmentally good things. The Ink Kitchen First Post, I made an ink that was all organic stuff. And organic could be poison too, but this was all safe organic stuff, right? You could have organic hemlock that will kill you, but it was all
Right.
organic materials. And I printed the shirt and then I ate the ink. It was that safe.
Whoa.
Didn't taste good, but it was, so,
Funny.
just trying to push the envelope always,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, we do, our biggest customer is Farm Aid. And like this past year, we finally achieved our goal. It was all U.S. organic cotton shirts, all made in the USA, all union printed. And, it did kind of a cool addition. I kind of stole it from my Amnesty work. We had a hang tag on every shirt with a QR code, and you could see the farmers. So we know which farmers grew that organic cotton, and they made videos themselves of their family and their farms. And so you could see the farmer that grew your shirt. So that was kind of cool.
That's amazing.
So I'm always
Love
trying
that.
to you got to keep going or you go backwards, I think, always keep going.
It's a great mindset to have. Well, I know we're kind of, in the interest of time, we're kind of coming up to the end of our podcast episode. These are some awesome projects you're talking about, but I do want to kind of skip ahead, kind of wrap up this interview a little bit. Rick, whenever Teresa and I do this, we always ask a really fun, silly, sort of stupid sometimes question at the end, just to kind of get a laugh out of people and just see what people say, right? And so our fun question for you is, what's a completely harmless conspiracy theory you choose to believe?
Well, mostly I have to preface this by saying I do not believe that. I'm a big believer in science, when people believe that, the World Trade Center was inside job and stuff like that, it really drives me crazy. It's like, it's interesting there where the logic fails and all of that. I think, well, there's not harmless ones, but there's ones that I guess some people would call conspiracy theories. I think Brian Jones of the Rolling Stones was probably murdered if you look at all the evidence. And I think Jimi Hendrix's death was probably manslaughter, that the woman that gave him the pills and then left him to die was like responsible. So I think those are, maybe some would call them conspiracy theories. I think there's evidence for it. So
there you go.
I don't know if that's what you mean.
Could mean anything.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was just telling someone, I don't know if you've ever been to the Civil Rights Museum in Memphis. It's a pretty great museum. It's in the motel where Martin Luther King was shot. But across the street, part of the museum, it's just in a different building, is, they just make the case that James Earl Ray was a, two-bit loser and could never have done it himself. Who did it? Memphis police, CIA, FBI, whatever, helped him, racist with money. But, the guy was an idiot and he pulled it off and had 50 grand in his pocket when they caught him. So, just points that it couldn't have been just him,
There you go. Yeah.
Who did it? I don't know. That's the realm of conspiracy theories, because I don't think there's enough facts to prove any theory.
Fair. Well, there you go. Food for thought for everybody listening. Kind of examine, look at it. Maybe they can question their own conspiracy theory beliefs. But Rick, this has truly been an excellent episode. I really enjoy our conversations. I really hope that after listening to this, some people do feel inspired to go out and make an impact, even if it's just with one other human. So thanks for coming on and sharing your perspective.
Well, thanks for having me. Always a pleasure to talk to you guys.
Thank you.
Printing United Expo is where the entire printing industry unites under one roof. Explore cutting-edge technology from over 800 exhibitors, see live product demonstrations, and discover solutions that can transform your business. With exclusive education sessions, expert insights, and endless networking opportunities, this is the must-attend event for anyone in print. No matter your role, Printing United Expo delivers the innovation, connections, and knowledge to help you stay ahead. Join us this September 23rd to the 25th in Las Vegas. Learn more at printingunited.com and experience the future of print today.
Well, Teresa, I always love having such impactful conversations with people like Rick on this show, and chances are many people listening to this have come across him at a trade show or some other event. You can't miss Rick.
Absolutely.
So, but if you haven't had the opportunity to connect with him, we encourage it. We'll happily introduce you. Go out and find Rick. But it is that time to wrap up our episode with some silliness. So this month, we are playing Would You Rather Promo Industry Edition. It's very family friendly, can I just say, because sometimes Would You Rather gets a little spicy.
That is true. That's true. This is not the spicy edition.
However, I will say each option is horrible and ridiculous, but, you know, it's going to be funny. So I'm going to make Teresa pick something. She's not allowed to say no, or it depends. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. Would you rather only communicate with customers via fax or only communicate with customers via TikTok comments?
Whoa. I'm going to say TikTok comments just because when I started in this industry, people were still using faxes and I thought it was crazy then. And it would be even crazier now to still be doing that.
I'm so glad I'm not answering these because barf to both, in my opinion.
Oh, I mean, agreed, but I have to pick something.
You do. I'm not letting you get it right. Okay. Second one. Would you rather wear only company branded polos forever or wear only trade show giveaway t-shirts forever?
I'm going to say the t-shirts because I'm not a polo girl. Just polos are a little too buttoned up for me. So
Same.
even though the t-shirts are probably going to be scratchy with a terrible logo, unless you guys are, doing better. Come on, guys. I know you can do better, so let's do better. It could be a good thing. It could be. It depends on the trade show, right?
Right. Maybe it'll motivate people to do better.
To be fair, I have gotten some very nice t-shirts at trade shows. Just depends on who you know, I guess.
There you go. Okay. All right. So a little redefining of the industry here. I like it. All right. Would you rather your phone only work during trade shows or your laptop only work during trade shows?
I guess phone, because that's what I'm mostly using when I'm at a show anyway. I usually wait until after the show to file the story. So most of what I'm doing is phone-based videos and recording.
There you go. Love it. All right, next one. Would you rather only drink hotel lobby coffee for the rest of your life or only eat convention center food for the rest of your life?
The convention center food, I think, because I'm kind of snobby about my coffee. I like
Same.
So I can just skip the coffee. I don't need to eat it, but I need to eat. Or I don't need to drink it, but I do need to eat. So
I'd be, just for the record, though, disgusting across.
Yeah, totally.
Across both. All right, this is the final one. Okay. Would you rather have to do karaoke at every industry event, or would you rather have to dance at every industry event?
Okay, this is hard because I'm both bad at singing, bad at dancing, and I don't like to make a spectacle of myself in front of a lot of people. So this is going to be the hard. Oh gosh. I think I would rather have to do karaoke.
Okay.
I think because I get very self-conscious when I'm dancing.
Okay.
But if I do karaoke, it's a limited amount of time. And I like to do Toxic by Britney Spears. So that's what I'll do. It'll be terrible, but it'll be done in 3 minutes and then I can move on. Then I can go back to being in the audience and judging everyone.
I was not expecting Toxic by Britney Spears to be your song, but I love that song. I mean, who doesn't love belting out a little Britney? And as you were answering, I was thinking about, okay, everybody expects karaoke to just be terrible. Because it's just
That's true.
it's almost like you have to make it terrible, right? It's karaoke.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. So that takes the pressure off. Whereas like if you're dancing, you feel like, I don't know, I feel like you have to have some kind of move. So like I can do the
Well,
Macarena, but that's about it.
oh yes, we all like the Macarena.
Yeah, the Cupid shuffle, but
I
yeah.
was about to say, I think I did get you on a dance floor once to do the Cupid shuffle.
Yes, and it was horrible, but I did it.
I'm sorry. I'm that friend.
I survived. It's fine.
You did it. You know what? Everybody was looking at Davis Slagle anyway, because he had that yellow jacket on and was being crazy, so it was fine.
Yep, totally. He has the moves.
He does have the moves.
You know, it's like the moves like Jagger, but it's actually the moves like Slagle.
Oh, we should, Davis, if you're listening, put a pin in that right now.
Right.
Teresa and I have high expectations for the next time we see you, which is probably at Printing United Expo. So come on now.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you have a feeling about these would you rather questions, if you are having a strong reaction, please reach out to Teresa and I. We would love to hear if you would rather dance or sing karaoke at every industry event. I would love to hear the feedback on that. But until next time, Teresa, this has been an absolutely spectacular episode. Once again, thanks for just an amazing conversation.